It's chili time, and today we are making a beef chili, which is one of my favorites. And this is a variation of Texas red chili, which means there are no beans involved in this. If we were ultra traditional, we wouldn't either use tomato, then it's just chili and beef. Bam, that's it. We have a beautiful cut of rump roast here that we're going to cut in later. It's just here because it looks good. Because first we have to start with our chilies. And I have ají amarillo, ají panca, and Chili De Arbol. I have 4 of each. And the first thing we do is we grab our kitchen shears and then we cut off the tops. And then we open them up like this, sort of. So we can get out all the seeds, because the seeds, they are bitter. You don't want those. We want the flesh of these. And we do this first because we have to rehydrate them, and that takes a bit of time. So on with the shears and cut them into chunks like this. And then they will be good for cooking. Our chilies are all nice and cleaned up. Now we add them to a cold pan so we can rehydrate them. But before we add any liquid, we need to roast them a little bit so we release the essential oils. So now we let them warm up with the pan until they give a little bit of smoke, and then next step is coming. And once you start coughing from the fumes, no, jokes aside, when they start being a little bit glossy and they give out that little whiff of smoke, as I spoke about before, then we add some water, but be careful, the pan is hot, so it's going to steam a lot. The steam subsides.
Wow, you want to kill us.
You just want to cover them. You don't want to put too much water. And when that's at a nice simmer, which it basically already is, then we close it up, switch off the heat, and then we let that steep there for 20 minutes, half an hour, while we prepare the other things. 3.5 kilos of beautiful top sirloin. So come on, meet your maker. This we want to cut into chunks, like a little bit bigger than bite size. Don't make them too small, because they will cook a long time and then they will just sort of. So I would say we cut it into, like, let's call it steaks by this thickness here. If we come across any excess fat, we're going to cut it off, but we will see as we chunk it up.
That looks a very nice piece.
No, it's a very nice piece, this one. This recipe, you can use almost any cut, because it doesn't require that it's tender meat. We're going to cook it for a long time, so you can use basically whatever you can get your hands on. But this here is beautiful, look at that. I mean, and when we have them out like this, I say we stack these, and I cut this into strips like that. I should have been a butcher.
Okay.
And then you see if you have excess fat down here, because this is hard fat, and that won't render out good in any way, so just get rid of that. If you have anything soft like this, leave it on. And then chunks like this. And we get that on to an oven pan here for seasoning. That's a nice pile of meat.
Yeah, we're going to feed the army again.
Once again, we are cooking for an army. So, simple here, we give it some sea salt. I'm giving it quite a heavy coating on top, and then I'm going to massage it in a little bit, like this. Make sure you get all of it coated. And when I'm done with this, we're going to leave this in the fridge to sweat out for 20 minutes, half an hour, while we make our chili paste. Our chilies, they're nice and soft, so now they go in to our food processor together with the steeping liquid, because now that took out a lot of flavor, and we want that in our chili paste. It smells good, actually.
They're very fruity, aromatic.
Yeah, they are. That's the...
But a bit spicy also. I can.
That's the Chili De Arbol. They are a little bit spicy.
It's the devil.
So, we have all of that in. Then we want to add 250 grams of tomato paste, and that's why I said this is a variation of Texas red chili. 5 large cloves of garlic. And then I'm adding the chipotle as chipotle peppers in adobo sauce because that gives a nice flavor also. You could have used dried chipotles also in the initial chili mix, but the adobo sauce gives a nice flavor. Then we have crushed cumin. This is not ground cumin. This is fresh cumin that has been crushed in our mortar and pestle, and that gives a completely different aroma than the ground cumin. It loses so much. This is much more aromatic, so little trick there, do that. A tablespoon of black pepper. That was 2 tablespoons, by the way. And here's 1 tablespoon of freshly cracked black pepper. And then, again to the variation, I'm adding a tablespoon of Sichuan peppercorn because they have like a fruity, almost citrus-like component to them. They're excellent in chilies like this. And lastly, I'm gonna go in with some ají amarillo paste. Although we have amarillo peppers in here, this gives, again, a different flavor profile. And then, to bind the flavors together, we're going to give it a pinch of salt. This is not the salt for the chili, this is just to give this a little bit of flavor binder. And then, onto the machine.
The oregano, we're not going to put it yet?
No, the oregano I will put in the when we start the stew.
Okay.
And then we blitz this to a smooth paste. We have our rondo pot preheating with avocado oil, high smoke point, remember that. And we are running here at almost 230 degrees, which is what we want. So now we want to get our beautiful meat in here, but do this in batches. Spread them out, make sure they don't crowd, because then they start steaming, and we don't want that. We want a good sear on them. Ooh, that's nice. I can probably do this in 2. This is a big pot, you know. And now we let them go here and don't touch them. They are sticking right now. When they release themselves because of the Maillard effect, we have the sear we want and then we flip them over. And when they release and look like that, we flip them over. That's just beautiful. Because that's the flavor. The flavor is there. Last batch is done. So now we turn down the heat, take this out, and yes, I'm putting it back in the same pan as where I had the raw meat because this is not fully cooked. So it's perfectly safe. We're just gonna cook it in the sauce afterwards. So use the same pan, save your dishwasher time. That is so beautiful. Now we're gonna go in with our onions. We're gonna add a little bit more oil. And look at all that beautiful fond we have in the bottom of this pan. Ooh, that's gonna be good. 3 large onions cut into batons. You could chop them finely if that's what you prefer, but it's gonna cook for a long time and it will just disappear. So I find it that they are better, would give more texture like this. So in they go. And now we're gonna let them become translucent and sweat out a bit. When the onions start to take some color and look like this, that's where you want to take them to. Don't take them further right now because as I said, the cooking time is long. Untraditional, half a liter of red wine, good strong red wine to deglaze the pan. And then with your wooden spoon, you help it to lift up all that fond you have in the bottom. And we cook off the alcohol a little bit. Already look at the color, it already look like a nice sauce. All nice and all the fond is lifted up. Then we continue with our homemade beef stock. Link down below. It is almost taken as far as demi-glaze. You see how thick it is and viscous. 750 milliliter of that. That is so beefy, you have no idea. Straight after that, our chili paste. You see how nice that became? It's gonna give a lot of flavor. And that's also why it's called Texas red chili, because that's the red color, deep red. In that goes. Nice. Untraditional, 1 kilo of chopped tomatoes. I feel it belongs there, so, and it's my
We
kitchen,
like it,
and
yeah.
it's my kitchen, so. Get all this mixed in. And I just want to add 3 tablespoons of oregano, so that gets mixed in before we reintroduce the meat. Ooh, that's aromatic, that oregano. Wow.
Super, yeah.
Oh, this is going to be good. And right as soon as this is mixed, I'm going to get back our meat, and we'll get all of this nice meat into our sauce. And the last meat pieces here, in they go. And then don't forget all the juices here. That's just added extra flavor. And at this point, it's free of charge. It's a good thing we have big pots, I have to say.
Yeah, you can barely fit.
This is gonna be nice. The last touches here is 4 bay leaves. Gonna nestle them in there. And as always, our little trick, a rind of Parmesan to live there while this simmers away. That's gonna give a lot of flavor, and then we fish it out at the end. But that will give texture, flavor, and nice umami to our sauce. Now we bring this to a simmer, we cover it, and probably we move it to a smaller burner because we don't want it to boil. We want this to simmer for at least a couple of hours before we check in again. Here we are, almost 2 hours in. At 1 hour point, I took the lid and put it a little bit ajar so we could reduce a little bit the liquids here. Well, let's see how we're doing.
That smells excellent.
Wow, that smells good. And that cumin comes through really good. It's completely
so much more
different.
aromatic. It's amazing. Cumin, I can smell it.
Exactly. Well, the sauce consistency looks good, but let's check the meat to see where we are tender-wise. Well, it's getting there, but it's not done yet. It's still, hard, you can see, but it's
an hour
getting,
more, you think?
I would say an hour, maybe even an hour and a half. But I want to taste a little bit now for salt, just to have an idea. That's good. And it's not too spicy. It has a nice little kick to it, but nothing, that blows your socks off. It's very good. But it needs salt. I'm saying this is a tablespoon of sea salt. I think that's about what we need at this point. I'm always careful when we use the Parmesan rind because that is salty. But this needs a little bit more. It's a big portion. Let's stir that in, and we're going to let this simmer for at least, by the feeling of the meat, at least an hour more. And by the way, if you want to crank up the heat a little bit, then go in with some of our habanero chili jam. That is super spicy. And then you can dial it up and down, but this you can serve even for family who's a little bit sensitive to heat. No problem. You want it hot? Add the jam. Well, we actually ended up boiling this for an additional 2 hours or even more because it's kind of a tough cut of beef. But now we are there. See here, falls apart tender, perfect, still juicy on the inside. Couldn't be better. So now I want to taste the sauce to see if we are done. That's good, but dark. I want to brighten this up a little bit with the juice of 3 limes. And then we are basically killing the heat, and we let it cool 10 minutes, then we're ready to serve. And what better way to serve this than in an old wrought iron steel pan? After all, this was the food of cowboys. So, and you have to put this in the middle of the table. It looks rustic and nice, but it does look good. But time for me to give this a taste. It's just fall apart. It's perfect. And I want to taste it without anything. I'm just going for the chili here.
Full flavor.
That is excellent chili. I mean, it is spicy, but it doesn't kick off your socks, as I said. It's perfectly balanced. Nice mixture of spices. And of course, you could do this with minced meat, but really you shouldn't. You should use it with chunks like this, like it was done back in the day. And if you want to, you can take out a portion, shred it, serve it in tacos, serve it over rice as is. There's so many ways you can serve this, but either way, it's a perfect chili.